It's 4 o'clock on a Wednesday, and you know what that means, don't you? It's time for another exciting episode of Taxi's Quarantini Happy Hour. Woohoo! Here we go. Yeah, baby. Let's see who's in that chat room. Thank you, fake audience. Thank you, fake band. Let's see who's in there. Do a quick hello to everybody. Dean Turner, Jesse J. Peck, Bob Gunnerfelt, John Hope, hello. Rick Cabot Podmore. That's it. Hopefully the chat room is working better today than it was yesterday. Ian Shortall, Michael McGraw, Pete Mason, hello. Well, here we are 24 hours later after the raid. Hello, Pierre and Spiritual. How are you guys? A mere 24 hours later after the attack of the rodents on my tomato plants during yesterday's episode, and I would just like to show you the outcome. Well, let's say hello, Andre and L. Harrison and Windchimes. Let's just say that this is the... that's the result. My prized tomato, and I'm talking, this is the one I've been waiting for like 3 weeks to dig into, and that squirrel got it during yesterday's show. So I am now officially on a rodent relocation program. I'm so upset. I know, it's just a tomato. Are there 20 other tomatoes on that plant? Yeah, there are, but they're all like ping pong ball size up to smaller than a tennis ball. That one was the big kahuna right there. I was so excited about that tomato. I go outside like 5 times a day to see if it starts turning, if it started turning red yet. I couldn't wait to pick that thing and eat it. I've been picking some of the fresh tomatoes and slicing them and putting, what's the cheese you put on pizza? Parmesan? No. Hello, Brad and Greg. Oh, good. Your dog got the squirrels. Good. I'm sorry I wasn't there to see that. Mozzarella. Thank you. Yeah, I'm so sorry I wasn't there to see your dogs take care of the squirrels. I always have had a dislike for squirrels. I used to live in New York City. I lived very close to Central Park on 72nd and Columbus, and I would go over there to Central Park on the weekends and, bring my Walkman. Yes, it was the 80s. And sprawl out on a blanket on the great lawn and watch the little squirrels and stuff. And I can't tell you how many times those squirrels, took snacks of mine. I once had an entire bagel from Zabar's get grabbed by a squirrel, and it was the funniest thing you've ever seen. The bagel was almost as big as the squirrel. Bagels at Zabar's are rather large, so yeah, there you go. Should have pickled it. There you go. Yeah, look at that. That is squirrel damage right there. Paul House, driving home, so we'll be listening, not chatting, just leaving the office. Long day. Michael knows about those. Yes, I do. Hey, Paul, sometime tonight or tomorrow, when you get a chance, could you shoot me an email? I've been trying to search for somebody to be my technical director. I need somebody local that can come to the house every day during the road rally and take care of any of the things. Like if I do decide to incorporate Zoom and have a panel of 4 people and run that through Wirecast, I just want to have somebody here, that I will pay handsomely to be the on-site babysitter to help me get the setup right. So I've been searching. I've probably got about 3 hours into searching, and I must be the world's baddest, poorest, worst searcher, because I've been having a really hard time finding these guys. There are companies that do it, but they're big honking companies and they charge ridiculous fees. Yeah, so I'm looking for a technical director, but a streaming technical director, that's one of the phrases that I use to search. So yeah, I need somebody with setup and for emergencies, and some advice before we get going on the whole thing. So if anybody has any ideas on how I should search, or if you want to search, anybody who's in the 818 area code, or the 805 area code. I'm kind of sandwiched between the two of them. But just the search terms alone would be good. And you can send them in an email to Liz at taxitv@taxi.com. By the way, I bit the side of my tongue before, so if I talk like I've got a speech impediment today, it's because my tongue is about the size of two tongues right now on this side. Hey, Cass, check this out. Squirrel damage from yesterday. Yeah, for people who don't like the banter, remember, crap. For people who don't like the banter on the show, remember, this is the Quarantini Happy Hour. This show is supposed to be about banter. This show has some education woven into it, but it is not primarily about education. Hang on one second. Got to take care of a thing here. Okay. So there you go. Cass has two border collies that love the taste of squirrels. Yep. Even his border collies admit that they taste like chicken. Yeah, I was eating squirrel when I bit my tongue. That's exactly right. Today on Taxi TV, Michael's oversized tongue. Hello, Jan. How are you? Oh, no, they like skunks. Oof, brutal. I had German Shepherds growing up, and one of them got nailed by a skunk. Man, it takes like a week, even with the tomato juice bath and all that other stuff. Oof. All right, now we're getting into the gun talk. A 410 shotgun works great on squirrels. That's all I need is a Jack Russell. Of course, the coyote that visits our backyard would probably eat the Jack Russell. Okay, so I want to answer a question that I saw on the forum a few days ago. And as soon as when JP shows up, John Pearson shows up, we should continue that conversation we were having yesterday about libraries asking for writer share. Okay. Somebody asked a question. I'm trying to read my own writing here because I was scribbling at the time. Should I do deals that ask for my music in perpetuity? Of course, in perpetuity means forever. I have mixed feelings about that. Let's talk about it. So, perpetuity, yes, it means forever. There are libraries that will do a deal with you where they get it for 2 years or 3 years or maybe even 5 years. And if they don't get a place during that period, then you've got a window of opportunity where you can ask to get that piece of music back, and you get it back, lock, stock, and barrel. You get the master rights, the publisher share, and the writer share. You get all that back. Man, it's really hard to talk with my tongue being so puffed up right now. So, yeah, those are good deals. And frankly, I would sign almost any deal in perpetuity if it were for an instrumental cue. The reason being, you're going to create, 90 days after you wrote that cue and got it into a library, you're going to come up with other cues that are just going to be better. You're not going to really care if you get that instrumental cue back in 3 years. Probably not worth the effort. If it's a song that you put a lot of effort into, and you feel very strongly that the song has a lot of potential to be synced in a TV show or a movie, then yeah, maybe you want to hang on to that one and only do a deal that's got a reversion clause in it for 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, whatever. I don't think I've ever seen any reversions that are as short as a year, and the reason for that is it generally takes a library some period of time before something gets picked up. And as all of you guys know, I'm pretty sure, but maybe some other viewers who aren't regulars on the show don't know this yet. Oh, what the hell was I going to say about that? I just forgot where I was going with that. Well, maybe if I drink some Red Bull, it'll give me wings and I'll remember. I was just outside grabbing that tomato. It's really hot. It's like 95 out there. Excuse me. I know I was talking about in perpetuity versus not and reversion clauses. I can't remember where I was going with that. Oh, well, it'll come to me at some point. Welcome to old age. What if you retitle your own song? No, that is not kosher. I mean, if you've got it in a library that's a non-exclusive deal and they've already retitled it, then there's no point in you retitling it. Yeah, most reversion clauses do come with stipulations. Just kiss those stupid little intros goodbye. Yeah, you know what? Virtually every person I've ever spoken to or met who has been successful in getting instrumental cues picked up by libraries and getting them placed in TV shows will tell you that the cues they're writing just weeks later are definitely better than the ones that they wrote weeks before. I was telling you guys something that I'm sure that you all know and that other people may not know, and now I can't remember. Oh well. It'll come to me. And I saw somebody else ask this question on the forum, and this is just me paraphrasing it, trying to read my own scribble, which is, I was offered a deal with an exclusive library. Should I pull that song from the non-exclusive libraries it's in? Yes, absolutely. And you cannot sign that deal with the exclusive library until you've got confirmation that the non-exclusive, I feel like I've been to the dentist, that the non-exclusive stuff has been released. Oh man, now I'm not seeing any movement in the chat. Oh good, there it is. I was worried that I was having that same problem as yesterday. Peter Rahal, they say the memory's the first thing to go. I forget what the second thing is. Hello, Edmund. How are you? So yeah, you cannot sign something into an exclusive library, even if especially if it's already in some non-exclusive libraries, because that means that the exclusive library doesn't have it exclusively. And definitely do not sign the exclusive deal and then reach out to the non-X libraries and say, hey, I need to pull it out of there because I've just signed an exclusive deal. You're asking for so much trouble if you do that. You will definitely be persona non grata with at least the exclusive library, if not the non-exclusive libraries. So that's all I've got. Those were the only two really burning questions. Can you imagine for people that are watching this that aren't regulars and they're going, why is this guy talking like that? Because I bit my tongue badly and it's all swollen on one side. Excuse me. So, yeah, and JP's not showing up. I wanted to talk about, is he in here anywhere? I haven't seen him yet. How dare he miss an episode? That's not like him. Robert Orzechowski wants to know, how often do I scour the forums? Not very often, quite frankly. The staff takes care of the forum stuff. I go on there as a casual observer, and as you've probably noticed, I do comment sometimes, but not very often. And it really upsets me, not like, oh my God, I'm going to cry about it or jump off a tall building about it. Or send you a poison pen letter, but it's funny to me how many people will go on the forum with like member services issues. Like I tried to upload a song tonight and the database wouldn't take it. And they post that on the forum like they think we have a staff of 5 people reading every forum post and then acting upon it. No, if you have problems like that, please reach out to memberservices@taxi.com. Don't rely on the possibility of getting seen on the forum. I mean, we do have people that go in and a person actually that goes in and looks at the forum every day, but that's mostly to get rid of Russian spam, quite frankly. The forum, I've always treated it as your playground. And I don't want to be like, the grand potentate or the dictator. And I hate these forum moderators that kind of really enjoy imposing their will over their community. I figure that the forum is its own community. I'll stop in every now and then and congratulate somebody on a deal they got or a forward they got. I go in sometimes to look for stuff, questions that I might use like I did today on the show. But I would say I probably go on the forum about once a week for about 15 minutes to a half an hour. So yeah, don't post like, hey, Michael, I really like what you said on that episode of Taxi TV. I've got a follow-up question because chances are I probably won't see it. You can definitely send that stuff to taxitv@taxi.com. Okay, Pete Mason says, can you shed a little light on the non-exclusive libraries that Taxi works with? Are they similar to some of the royalty-free libraries that are out there? I currently focus on exclusive. Okay, well, there are a couple issues in there. There are a million non-exclusive libraries out there. I've read some stuff online recently where some of the smaller ones that were a little bit underfunded and maybe a little mismanaged and just trying to find their feet have been wiped out due to the coronavirus because they were just finding their feet and learning how to pitch and getting stuff out there. And now not that many people are using music right now because productions were halted due to the virus. Although I've spoken to some of my library owner friends that say business is booming, others have said that they're down by 50%. We've had no shortage of listings coming in throughout this whole period. Some of that is because libraries are using this time to clean out old dead wood, maybe add some new fresh stuff, take genres or categories or styles that they feel they've got dated or weak material in and freshen them up. So Taxi has cruised very nicely through this. Thank God for that. Really, really happy and grateful for that. But those weaker, newer libraries have fallen by the wayside. So that's one version of a non-exclusive library. Then there are kind of like mid to high level non-exclusive libraries that seem to be doing well. I'm not going to mention any names in here because then people go berserk and just start emailing them. Hey, Taxi told me all about you. And then they call me up. Why are you giving out my name? So they're all, if we work with them, we have vetted them. They've reached out to us and said, we'd like to work with you. We've gone online. We have looked at their website. We've reached out to some of our members that may have used them and asked them privately, have you used them? If you use them, how did you feel about their level of professionalism? We will send emails to the library owners asking them to tell us about placements they've had, how many things they have in the catalog, how long they've been in business, what are some of the shows that they work with. Most of the time they're pretty cooperative. Sometimes they're like, well, I don't want to tell you all that stuff. But usually the ones that are, honest and forthright and hardworking don't mind sharing that stuff. Those are the non-exclusives that we work with. Again, I wouldn't put anything that is like your prize song that you've worked on and just poured your heart and your soul and tons of hours into it, and you've got a winner. Not a musician, I know I've got a winner because it's the most recent thing I wrote kind of winner, but something that you've had your hands on for a while, that you created a while ago, and it's some of your best work. Some Taxi members believe in spreading it around, putting it in 5 or 6 non-exclusive libraries, and I can't say that I argue with that. Some Taxi members I know, Matt Hurt, who is among our probably top 3 or top 5 most successful members of all time, Matt has always said that if he puts something in a non-exclusive library, that he treats it like it's exclusive. He doesn't put it in other libraries. It just happens to be that it's in a non-exclusive library. So they're fine. They're legit. Now, as far as royalty-free libraries go, honestly, I have a hard time explaining what royalty-free is. There are a couple different varieties of it, and you've probably seen 2 or 3 episodes of Taxi TV where I had a music attorney or a whiz-bang publishing expert on the show and asked them to define what royalty-free libraries are. And oftentimes they really can't, because there are derivatives of what royalty-free means. I mean, I know that there are a couple of big ones where you put your music in there. Oftentimes, by the way, they're non-exclusive, and oftentimes they're just a giant searchable database with a lot of crap in it, quite frankly. Their quality bar is either non-existent or very low. So it's always irked me when I get emails from members saying, hey, you guys didn't forward this queue. I sent it into 5 different listings and you guys didn't forward it. Well, it probably wasn't right for what they asked for. But then I submitted it on my own and I got it in 4 different libraries. But then when you do the research, you find out the 4 libraries they got it into are libraries that take almost everything, if not entirely everything. And so there is a lot of not that great music in those libraries, and they are largely servicing like the YouTube creator market. People that really don't understand anything about publishing, the creators, the people that make the videos, they don't understand anything about publishing, they don't understand anything about exclusive or non-exclusive, but the phrase royalty-free resonates with them, and here's why. And I found this to be true almost across the board with independent filmmakers. People think that if something is not royalty-free, the creators think that if they take music, licensed music from a library that is not a royalty-free library, that they're going to have to pay the royalties. They don't understand the whole concept of PROs, performing rights organizations. They don't understand that if something lands on a TV show that's ASCAP, BMI, or CSAC in the United States that pays the performance royalty. They literally think that if they use music that's not royalty-free, that they're going to get a bill once a quarter or something, maybe weekly, monthly, who knows, and that they're going to have to shell out money for the royalties to the people who created music. So they go to these royalty-free libraries. And how the royalty-free libraries work is they just amass a giant searchable database of music. Like I said, much of it not very good. Some of it might be, but a lot of it isn't. And then you spend hours searching, you find the thing that you want to license, you license it, but you pay them a lot of times. It's either a per track, a one-time per track fee. You don't have to file a cue sheet on it. If it lands in a TV show, the TV show is going to file a cue sheet on it. And if you've got the song, I believe I'm right about this, but again, not a music attorney and fairly expert on this stuff, but maybe not entirely expert. So if you've got something in a royalty-free library that's non-exclusive, which virtually all of them are, I believe, and you get something licensed by a TV show, and the TV show then fills out the cue sheet, and that piece of music that's in the royalty-free library is registered by you with the PRO. I don't think the royalty-free library is going to register in that case. Again, I could be wrong, but I think I'm right. You're going to see back-end money from your PRO because you registered it and the show did a cue sheet. However, when something, there are libraries out there that are royalty-free that are basically pay a monthly subscription fee of, $10.95 a month or $20 a month, whatever it is. Maybe it's by the year, and you can download and use all the music you want for your online stuff. So if anybody knows anything more than I do about that, please cast McKenty says if you use subscription music, like one of those royalty-free subscription libraries I was describing, in a YouTube video, but you let your subscription lapse, I know of someone who just received papers for the lawsuit. Wouldn't they hit them with like a cease and desist first and tell them they've got to replace that music before they file a lawsuit? And why would they file a lawsuit? Because chances are the amount of money they're fighting over would be like enough, for a dinner out at a restaurant, if you could go to one. That made me want to put my mask on. So they make their money on subscription fees. But I'm amazed by how many independent filmmakers, even people working on like, $500,000 up to $2 or $3 million indie films, they almost all of them, with very few exceptions, want to use royalty-free libraries because they think they're going to personally have to pay the royalties. It's mind-boggling to me. If PROs are the ones paying royalties, who pays the PROs then? The TV networks. The TV networks do licensing deals for probably millions of dollars a year to ASCAP, BMI, and CSAC, and then the money is apportioned out by virtue of how long the normal rules of the game, which nobody understands. How many seconds your piece played for, was it on a broadcast network, was it on a cable network, was it at 2 o'clock in the morning, or was it during prime time? All those variables determine how much you get paid, but the money is apportioned accordingly by the PROs, and it's taken out of that giant check that they get for their annual license for the with the PROs. Is registering a song with your PRO the same as registering a copyright? Absolutely not. They are two very, very different things. El Raso just mentioned a couple of libraries that let you collect from your PROs, but you have to do the registration, I believe. Let's not put any company names in here, because what happens is people watch these episodes later, the chats pop up, people who aren't members, who are not part of our regular daily hangout crew, see the names of these companies, and they reach out to them and do dopey stuff, and they say, well, I heard about you through Taxi. We have people that try and use our name as a door opener in all kinds of scenarios, and I get calls from people in the industry and emails going, what the hell, dude? People freak me out. Cass points out very correctly, if you own a bar and have a sound system, you pay a fee to ASCAP or BMI. That's true, any sort of business. If you own a commercial establishment of any sort, you should technically license, have a license with ASCAP and BMI. It won't be for millions of dollars. Here's a great example, actually. Years ago, when we got a new phone system at Taxi, around 2001, when we moved into the office suite that we're in now, and we got a new phone system, we put in music on hold. So I reached out to ASCAP and BMI to do the right thing, which was pay them the annual license. I think it was like $450 a year or something like that. I couldn't get either of them to respond to me. I was literally trying to give them money, because we had music on hold, and I wanted the creators of that music to be able to collect. Now, were we filling out cue sheets? No. So they've got some sort of slush fund thing, and I don't even begin to know how they apportion that money out. Could you... Martin Gravel says, could I briefly explain the difference between PROs versus copyright? A PRO is a performing rights organization, ASCAP, BMI, and CSAC. Like I said, they do deals with big venues like the Hollywood Bowl or the stadiums, any performance venue, even a bar that's got live music, has to do an annual license with them, and they pay them a chunk of money. All that money goes into a giant bucket. And then when cue sheets are filled out by TV shows, or believe it or not, if your band plays the Hollywood Bowl and you give a song list of what you played and who the writers are, that is supposed to be turned in to the PRO, who will then make sure that it shows up on your account and you get paid for those public performances. It's the same thing for radio stations. They pay huge annual license fees, and every time a song spins on the radio station, actually not every time, they do what they call surveys, which is, well, if Cass McKenty's song played 4 times today in Chicago, that's a tier 1 market. That means that it probably played 4 times in LA, 4 times in New York, and wherever else. Then they've got tier 2, tier 3, and someplace like Des Moines, Iowa is probably a tier 3. My hometown of Ottawa, Illinois, probably a tier 5. But they report back, and based on samples from these surveys, they do a calculation that Albert Einstein couldn't understand, and that's how they apportion the money out to you guys. Registering a copyright is a whole different thing. It has nothing to do with you getting paid. What it has to do with is protecting yourself should somebody infringe your copyright. The very short version of this is that the minute you put a song down on tape or on your iPhone or on a piece of paper, it is technically copyrighted. But the copyright is kind of worthless because nobody knows when it was copyrighted, and there's no proof that it was copyrighted on that day. So you register it with the .gov Copyright Office, Library of Congress, the .gov/copyright, whatever. Like how I did that, whatever. And then those guys are basically there, and you don't have to wait for the paperwork to come back from them because it takes forever. Even on the online service, I've heard that it's pretty long. But if you've sent it off, at least you've got proof, should you ever need it in a court case, to say, hey, I wrote that song, and here's my proof that it was written on this date in this year. That's what it's for. Now, you might ask, what about services where you pay $5 a song and they give you some proof? I'm sure that there's some value in those services, but not that value. You can't walk into a courtroom in the middle of a copyright infringement suit with a piece of paper from Joe's Song Registration Service and say, look, I wrote this on October 15th of 1994. It won't hold up in court. I'm scrolling down the chat now. Can we have somebody from any PRO to come and explain how they function? I mean, detailed explanations. Quite honestly, 1 year at the Road Rally, I got them to do something that they do not like to do, but I believe I had at least ASCAP and BMI reps there, like high-level reps, and possibly somebody, I think I might have had vice presidents from ASCAP, BMI, and CSAC, and had them explain what they do and the differences between their services. They were not very happy with me. They didn't want to do it in the first place. And as soon as I got the first one to sign on and say, okay, count me in, then, of course, I reached out to the other two and said, well, if you don't show up, it's only going to be the guy from BMI sitting up there. So then they had to show up. They're very competitive. They are competitive colleagues, let's say. Anyway, frankly, a lot of what they said was over the heads a lot of the people in the audience, because people hadn't done their homework and they didn't know the first thing. So basically what you're looking for is PRO 101. And frankly, you would be very wise to go pick up a book, Music, Money, and Success by Todd and Jeff Brabeck. Music, Money, and Success by Todd and Jeff Brabeck, B-R-A-B-E-C. They're both attorneys. Todd Brabeck was the executive vice president of ASCAP and basically or entirely ran the LA office for 20 some years. He's a good friend of mine. His brother Jeff is a music attorney, and I believe he's still like a senior VP or exec VP at Chrysalis. They are super knowledgeable. They're twins, and they look so much alike. I've known them both now for like 25 years. They're both very, very close friends of my dearly departed close friend, Ralph Murphy. So I had a lot of contact with them until Ralph passed away, frankly, a couple of years ago. I haven't heard from the Brabecks ever since, so maybe they were only being nice to me so that Ralph wouldn't give them any grief. I don't know. But yeah, buy that book. Also, buy Don Passman's book. What's called Everything You Want to Know About the Music Business. If somebody could look that up, Liz, can you look up Donald Passman's book and put a link to it in the chat, please? And the Brabecks book, Music, Money, and Success by Todd and Jeff Brabeck. If you read those two books, and quite frankly, Todd and Jeff's book is extremely thorough. It's a little bit dry, but the subject is dry. It's hard to make it sexy. The other book, Don Passman's book, is an easy read. He's got a nice tone. It's not as thorough, but it does hit the big bullet points. So there you go. All right. Wow. I need a lot of catching up to do in the chat. Yeah, there is cross-pollination between almost all of the foreign PROs, SACEM in France, SOCAN in Canada, whatever else. I haven't memorized all the different PROs, but virtually all of them, if not entirely all of them, have relationships and work with the American PROs so that if you are, let's say you're in Spain, but your song gets used in an American TV show, and let's say you're signed with ASCAP, ASCAP will collect the money, and then usually they will sit on it for 6 months, maybe even longer, which is very typical. I'm not slamming ASCAP or BMI or anybody, it just takes time, and they operate on a quarterly basis. So if your placement happens at the end of the first quarter of the year, it's not going to hit their books until the second quarter of the year, and it probably won't be until the end of the third quarter of the year when they're tightening up their bookkeeping that they're going to notify your foreign PRO in Spain and let them know and then send the money to them, and then your foreign PRO is going to wait a quarter or two. So you're looking at least a year, if not a year and a half, I believe, for most foreign payments to cycle through. Okay, thank you, Liz, for posting that. Now we're back to killing squirrels again, are we? Music, Money, and Success, the 8th edition. Wow. There you go. Liz got a link in for that one. Man, if you read those two books, I know it's asking you to do a little work, but you're entering into a business. You're setting up your own business within an industry. You need to know this stuff. Yeah, it is very difficult to collect foreign royalties without a sub-publisher to submit local cue sheets. By the way, that's one of the reasons that a lot of music libraries that started out as non-exclusive, and the reason they started that way is they felt that they could get more music into their catalogs because people weren't afraid to sign with them, because if they failed, no big deal. If somebody wanted to take that same piece of music and put it in 10 other libraries, they could do that. But here they are 5 years down the road, and they're doing well, some of them, And now they want to expand and do sub pub deals with foreign countries. Um, so they can't do those deals if they're non exclusive. So that's why they're trying to flip their catalogs to exclusive so they can set up global sub publishing deals and make it easier and more efficient and more effective to collect the income from foreign placements. And it goes both ways, by the way. It's not just U.S. music getting placed in foreign countries, it's foreign music getting placed in the U.S. market. Sometimes when I look at some of the music libraries we work with, there's one in Israel that we absolutely love working with. The guy is like just one of our favorite people on the planet. He's such a pleasure to work with, a total pro, a really nice person. Our members that have signed with them love him. And he is distributed globally by Universal. So it's interesting because there's an entire network of like French and Spanish and Italian and Russian and Korean and Indonesian and India, just like in Turkey. I mean, every country you can think of, pretty much, if it's a real country, even some like third worldy, maybe Cuba doesn't have a PRO. I'm not, but Russia does, I believe. Probably all the money goes to Mother Russia, I'm pretty sure. But maybe I'm wrong. Oh man, now the KGB. Well, they're not even a thing anymore. But I'm in big trouble. Anyway, so a big organization like Universal Music will sign global sub-publishing deals with all these little libraries. So the cool thing is that if your music goes from Taxi to that Israeli library, and the Israeli library is distributed to this network globally, that means that a music supervisor in Rome needs a piece of music and looking for Middle Eastern sounding music. So he can just go into that Universal catalog and search, and the Middle Eastern music will come up, and he'll license it from the Israeli company, and you get paid. So it's a network. It's literally like a global spider web that goes in all directions as far as the interconnectivity. So there you go. Yeah, there you go. Cass says, you mean Universal is only global and not really universal? Well, let's just say that as soon as Elon Musk colonizes Mars, you can bet that one of the sponsors of that landing will be Universal Music, and you will see the Universal Music flag planted on the surface of Mars. When they get to the sun, that will be a really hot deal. Hold on. Where is it? Oh, man. Let's see. There you go. I got a little laughter. Oh, man. I had to open up my computer monitor so I could hear what you were hearing. I'm sure I got a little feedback loop in there. So anyway, I hope that clarifies stuff for you. Honestly, I'm a good generalist on these subjects, but I am not competitive on an informational level with a music attorney or a publisher. I mean, there are publishers I know, like publishers at big companies like Universal that work on the record side of the industry that know nothing about this stuff on the library side. So it's kind of a compartmentalized industry where people know what they need to know to do the job that they do. And that makes sense, Do I have one with crickets chirping? Why, yes, I do. Do I have a glissando? Yes, I do. That makes sense. If you're a mechanic who works at a Porsche dealership, and the reason I'm saying that is I know one of my neighbors down below, I'm looking at his rooftop right now, is a mechanic at a Porsche dealership. He gets really cool used cars, I got to say. You look out in that dude's driveway, and like every 3 months, he's got a new like 3-year-old gorgeous Porsche in the driveway. Um, so he's got he is a mechanic who's expert on Porsche stuff. Does he understand what a carburetor does? Yes. Does he understand what a fuel injector does? Yes. Does he understand what, I don't know, an electrical system on a Porsche? Yes, all that. He knows everything you need to know about working on a Porsche. But if you drive your 1985 Chevy into his driveway, yeah, he can open up the hood and look under there and go, oh, yeah, there's the carburetor. Could he rebuild it as quickly as somebody who does Chevy carburetors? No. So that's what I'm saying, is that people know what they need to know to do their job, and it really is specific to the kind of publishing that they do. Can a sax player play trumpet? Some can. I think their mouths get misshapen from one or the other, and probably they're not great at either one, maybe. Let's see. Do I have a comedy drum thing? Why, yes, I do. Okay. Can a guitar player read music? Maybe. Maybe not. I don't know. I know plenty of incredible guitar players that probably can't. And I know some people that can probably write a chart like a mother and can't play a solo to save their life. So there you go. So what else we got, guys? I just found out the reason I thought of the Porsche mechanic is I was looking, as I was searching for my technical director for the road rally this morning, and I was on one of those sites. I saw an ad for a Porsche mechanic that had to be factory trained, and the starting salary was $100,000 a year. So not bad, back in the day, they called them grease monkeys, and they wore bib overalls and had a rag hanging out of their back pocket and grease all over their face and hands, and it was not thought of as what you would call an elitist sort of job, kind of blue-collarish, but apparently now you can be a six-figure elitist Porsche mechanic. Am I getting any smoke down in LA? Only when you drive down Ventura Boulevard and Woodland Hills and go past all the pot shops. No, it's funny. It's such a weird city. I know that there's some big fires raging. I have not smelled smoke. I have not seen any ashes falling. I have not seen any darkness in the sky. And the only reason I even know that these fires are happening is because I went grocery shopping on Sunday and had my car on a local FM radio station, and that's when I heard about it. So I came home and said to my wife, hey, honey, guess what? There are fires. And she said, oh, really? So I went to the LA County fire map, and sadly, all I could find were fires from like a year ago. You would think it would be updated all the time. So I wrote Fires Los Angeles County now. And what do I get? The fire map from a year ago. So I cleared my cache, thinking maybe I had an old URL in there from last time we had a big fire, which was not that long ago. And same thing came up. So I just gave up and said, oh, well. Hire a trophy making company. I've already got one. I actually use them for the road rally. I've used them for like 20 years and really like them. To create a Golden Gopher Award, give them out for the best quarantini happy hour guest. There you go. It's funny. Speaking of elitism, we've all become so close from doing these daily hangouts that I feel like the rest of the world, being made up of taxi members and people who are kind of in our orbit but haven't joined yet. I feel like you guys have learned so much more and know so much more about the company. Certainly you know a lot more about my personal life, including rodents and my tomato plants. Got a zucchini today. Woohoo! Got a zucchini twice the size of my thumb. I don't know why my zucchini plant, and I'm watering it every day. I'm putting fertilizer on it, and I get these tiny little. Hold on, I'll go get my zucchini and show you. Or maybe I won't. Oh, here it is. There it is. There's my zucchini. That's a pickup line. I should submit this to the ad agency that does the Peyronie's disease commercials, where they show all the eggplants and squashes and stuff that are all bent. Does this look like you? If it does, I wouldn't go out in public showing people what it looks like. I guess you wouldn't do that even if your zucchini didn't have issues. Zucchini, keep and stuff the flour. It's delicious. The flour in this one was all dried up, so I couldn't. I think the squirrels probably got it. Add bone meal and blood meal to your soil. Oh, great. After I get a couple of the squirrels, I'll grind them up and throw them in there. I believe Otter would say mine's bigger. Otter as in, what was the movie with Belushi? Cass summed it up yesterday. We get to see the face of Taxi every day on this show. I'm sorry. You guys need to get a life. Animal House, thank you. I'm not checking the soil pH. You know why? Because I'm not that into the zucchinis. I don't even like zucchinis. I'll eat them, but I don't like them. I'm just growing them because I heard they were easy, and I saw somebody growing them on YouTube. The plants get huge. Mine are not huge yet. But I did, I planted them on the hillside where thanks to the gophers killing all the plants, the dirt has really dried out. It's just dry, light brown soil. But once you dig like 6 inches down, there's brown, moist soil. So I dug twice as wide and deep as the zucchini plants were coming out of their pots. I mushed up the roots to free them up a little bit. Then I took some high-quality potting soil and mixed it with some fertilizer that's specifically made for fertilizing tomatoes and other vegetables. And I mixed that in with the potting soil and put some of that, like 3 inches of that, under where the zucchini roots would go. And then put the zucchini plant in, then took that enriched potting soil and put it all around the edge and kind of kneaded it in and mixed it around. And then I water them every day. And about once every 2 weeks, I take a couple tablespoons of fertilizer and gingerly sprinkle it around, basically the stalk of the plants, and then give it a light misting of water so that it can soak into the soil. That's as far as I'm going. And then the squirrels just come and say, thanks, I'm eating your stuff anyway. What else did I plant? Just tomatoes and zucchini. That's it. If I plant some marijuana, your squirrel would chill out, lounge around in the California sun, sipping some tequila. Maybe I should grow a mezcal plant on the hillside. Actually, that would be really good for that hillside. Is weed legal in California? Why, yes, it is. It was crazy. 2 years ago, I think, when they made it legal for recreational use at the road rally, it was actually depressing to me when you stand in the hotel that the road rally is at and you look out the window at the big billboards on Century Boulevard, which is the main road in and out of LAX. The two billboards that really stand out are girls, 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 all nude all the time, with some poor lady with what looks to be inflatable parts of her body looking a way that her parents would not want her to look. And then right next to that is a sign. I actually have a picture of it somewhere. It's like a weed delivery service, which I'm sure caters to all the traveling business people staying in the hotels on Century Boulevard. And the depressing part was, look, I have nothing against smoking pot. I don't. I wouldn't recommend that people are stoned all day, every day, but I have nothing against it. Hell, I'm in the music business. Let's call it for what it is. But it kind of sucked for people who don't smoke pot. At the hotel for the road rally for the last 2 years, there are so many people that come in for the rally from out of town. They're like, woohoo, I can smoke weed wherever I go. And they go out to the smoking section, which is right out the front of the hotel, and they fire up, and there are always like 10 or 20 taxi members out there smoking cigarettes and smoking weed. Well, the wind blows it right into the lobby of the hotel. So you get out of the elevator and you smell pot smoke. And I'm thinking, if I'm somebody that comes to the road rally, like Bria, who works for us, she started coming to the road rally when she was like 14 years old with her dad. I wouldn't want to take my kid to, and there are people that bring like 5-year-olds to the road rally. Not many, but some. A few people have even brought infants in strollers or little backpacks or front packs, whatever. I just don't think it's appropriate for kids to be walking around an area where there's pot smoke in the air. I don't know. I remember when it became legal in Colorado, and Deb and I used to take the kids on an annual ski trip to one of the places in Colorado. And man, oh man, you go stand in line to get on a lift, and there'd be a couple of guys like Jeff Spicoli standing in front of you smoking weed. You're on the chairlift and you smell weed. You go into, the little après ski place to get a hot chocolate or a chili dog after a couple of runs. You smell weed as you approach like the patio or the steps up into the place. So, I don't know. I have no problem with weed being legal here. I just think that people who smoke it should not be idiots about smoking around kids. It's like people are offended by cigarette smoke, but weed smoke is okay. I don't know. Maybe I'm just prudish. Who knows? All right. Well, now we've covered sex, drugs. We haven't talked about rock and roll yet today, and we've only got 3 minutes to do it. By the way, we are going to have Stephen Memel come back on Monday's regular Taxi TV, and I will endeavor to keep him very much on point to go down very specifically about things like lighting and makeup and that kind of stuff. I need to research it for my son's seizure disorder. I know people who smoked a lot of weed and had seizures. And then there's the police issue of search and seizure. I don't mean to make fun of your son's seizure disorder. My daughter, I won't mention her by name, but I have a 35-year-old daughter that is heavily into dogs. And she fostered a dog that's like a mutt that's about 30% German Shepherd. It's about a 45-pound dog. They already have a full-size German Shepherd and a little kid. And they got this dog that wasn't expected to live. I forget what, it was a disease that dogs get. And this dog has, it was the run of the litter, had this disease and cannot use its back legs very effectively. So basically when it runs, this poor little thing, it's just back end just gets dragged around. The dog is happy as can be, utterly clueless that it's got this disorder. And it has seizures all the time. They've had the thing for 5 years or more, and apparently has several seizures, like bad ones. No, not hip dysplasia. It's a disease. Can't think of it. CDB has been said to help with seizure disorders. I actually heard that from a woman who used to cut my hair that gave CDB to her son who had seizure disorder. Anyway, I keep telling my daughter, give the dog some CBD. Give it anything, ABC, XYZ. Just give it something with 3 initials, okay? I actually have a daughter that's going to be 40 in March. I got married the first time when I was 23 years old, and I think I had my first child when I was 27, 28, somewhere around there. I don't know. I am almost 66 years old. Anyway, we got a minute left. I'm just going to stare at you for a minute. Yeah, I've tried taking CBD to go to sleep. Thank you, Anthony. Not that effective for me. I've gotten mints that have a combo of THC and CBD that have kind of worked. I'm the kind of person, I get into bed at night and the wheels start turning and I start thinking about taxi, and before I know it, I've either pulled the laptop out from underneath the bed, or if I've left it downstairs, I will come down at 1:30 in the morning and open up the computer and start working again, just because I can't sleep and it beats watching TV, I guess. So when I take the mints that are THC and CBD to go to sleep, it takes them a while to take effect, and then I wake up the next morning with a headache, so don't do those anymore. I've been hoarding all the oil of Olay for California. Nope, I've never used any lotions or any treatments of any kind. What you see is what you get. I guess I'm just lucky that way. I have good genes. Anyway, all right, guys, let's wrap it up for today. Great to see you as always. Tomorrow is Thursday. We will be back with another super duper exciting episode. I'm going to try and come up with a topic or two. Actually, could you guys give me a hand with that? I'm working on road rally stuff, so my workload's a little heavier, and I'm trying really hard to not skip doing these every day. You guys could make my life a lot easier if you would, first of all, give us a thumbs up if you like us. If you're new to the Quarantini Happy Hours, which, by the way, are a loose hangout with some educational components, hit the subscribe button. Become a subscriber. Get the alert. Hit the little alert bell on your YouTube page. Find out when we're going live, because you'll also find out about the organized topic-specific shows that we do every Monday on this channel at 4 p.m. that we've been doing now for 11 years. And if you guys could go into the comment area after Liz gets this posted online and give me some ideas for tomorrow's show, at least topics or questions, I would really appreciate it. It makes my life easier. That way I can look at them when I wake up in the morning and go, okay, got that covered, and it saves me about a half an hour out of my day. So I appreciate that a bunch. And with that, I bid you a very, very, very fond farewell. I will see you tomorrow for another exciting episode. Whoops. Another exciting episode of Taxi's Quarantini Happy Hour. Bye-bye. Let's look down. I've got a big-time producer calling me on my cell phone. Gotta go.